I think that's what's beautiful about New Mexico in general too.
Mm-hmm.
Like even past just like our small communities that we're from, I think that's what brings Albuquerque in general and what makes it a beautiful place. Is it's a big town built on a lot of small town people.
Right.
You know, so and I think that's where that connection kind of.
3, 2, and 1. We are live. What's up, brother?
What's up?
How you been?
Good, and you?
How you doing, Preem?
Preem, we're living large.
Episode 56, guys.
56.
Thank you guys for tuning in. If it's your first time and you guys haven't subscribed,
welcome to the pod.
smash that like button, hit that subscribe. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. No.
Tonight's a very special night.
Have a special guest.
We've got a very special guest. He's one of our good friends, one of our favorite entrepreneurs of Albuquerque. He's from Española. Española.
Yes, sir.
Our good friend Joe Abeyta, owner of Ito's Barber Shop.
Yes, sir.
How are you, brother?
Oh, I'm good, brother.
It's good to have you on, man.
Joe.
Thanks for having me. Thank
One
you
of
guys for having
our,
me.
he's actually one of our long-awaited guests.
Yeah.
If you guys have watched more than a couple episodes, we always, we've said this like at least 5 times on the pod. Like we want our first 50, 60 episodes like our closest friends.
Yeah.
And what people don't know is like Joe was actually like scheduled to be one of our first guests, like episode like 12 or 10.
That's right.
And like I looked back and we even promoted it at one
Crazy.
point, but it just didn't happen, I guess, because of different schedules and stuff.
The universe.
But that's just to let you guys know like how close Joe is to us and our friend group, and you know it means a lot that you're here at the table, man.
Finally made it happen.
Thank you guys for having me. It's such a blessing to be here. You know, we've talked about it for such a while, and like just to be in your guys' presence tonight.
Yeah.
Man, we've already had a night. You know, it's
For
been
sure.
beautiful so far. It's been a pleasure. It's always like coming over to visit family.
Yeah, definitely, man.
It's like family, yeah.
Like I said, we were talking about this before the pod. Like every time we hang out, it's like a special occasion, you know.
Yeah.
It
Every
is.
time we hang out, it's like those are like the most memorable nights.
Oh yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter what we get into or what we do.
Yeah,
like those are the nights that you remember. Like, wow, man, we had a good time that night. Remember that night? You know.
Yeah.
Those connections.
Yeah, like
those-
even if
those
we're just
nights.
hanging out at the apartment all night,
Yeah,
listening
exactly.
to
Literally listening to music,
Tell
just
Putin
jamming
song.
out,
Just kidding.
hanging out.
busting freestyles before the pod.
Yeah, before the pod, we got a nice little freestyle session.
Yeah,
in there.
Yeah.
we did.
I think we all did.
That's
B-Rad never
something
gave
that
up.
people don't know. Like the people that listen is like
Yeah.
before a lot of our podcasts, just to break the ice, you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
some people, you know, you show up and you're like, how am I gonna talk for an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
Like we always end up like we'll just like bust some freestyles before the podcast just to
Yeah.
have some
Listen,
fun, you know.
Lighten up the
just have
mood.
like a little something.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
always silly. They're fun to do.
No, definitely. Thank you guys for having me.
But yeah, Joe, so little backstory, like Joe, so you know, a lot of people know you, Joe Abeyta. You own Ito's Barber Shop. You've owned it for how long?
I've owned Ito's now since June of 2019.
Wow,
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
that's
Yes,
crazy.
sir.
But you, so Ito's Barber Shop, that's here in Albuquerque. But like
Yeah.
when we introduced
Sure.
you grew up in Española, right?
Yeah. So originally, a little bit about myself. I was actually born in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Cool.
I lived here until I was about 5, 6 years old, and then I moved up north where my mom was originally from, Española, and that's where my grandparents at the time lived. You know, and
Yeah.
she wanted me to be close to them, and I'm super thankful that I did grow up where I did in such a small, tight community, because I would not have had that relationship with my grandparents if not, for one. But then two, not only with them, but just my family in general. You
Right.
know, like, and to grow up like where I did in Española was a very beautiful thing. I've always really, I think, appreciated like our culture. And I've known that like being from where I am is just different, you know. But
Right.
at the same time, like I've always been very proud of it. So.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we all three of us connect so much, and we
Exactly.
became such good friends, is because we kind of grew up the same, even though you know we didn't grow up like up north. It was like the same thing but down
Exactly.
south.
Yeah.
Like it was all about community. It was all about friendships, loyalty. Like the same guys that I went to school with are still my best friends today. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
Danny Jaramillo, shout out
Yeah.
Danny.
Shout out
He's
Danny.
one of our best friends.
That's our
Me and
brother
Danny
right
graduated together, and like there's just something about growing up in that community,
Yeah.
and you share that same lifestyle that like just makes you guys
Yeah.
friends forever, you know?
Yeah, it brings you close for sure.
Yeah, it does. Going back on that, like I've always said that, like I meet people from Belen, Las Lunas, like out in that area, and like we just connect right away because it is that small town like mentality in a way. So
yeah, there's no judgment.
No,
it's just like you just see people directly for who they are and what type of vibe they give out.
Yeah.
I think for me too, on top of that, going off of that, is the hospitality. Right?
Yeah.
Like
you
said,
there you
like,
go.
Like we were that's just how we were raised.
That is true.
To be hospitable, like going home to mom's, like even if you're not hungry, you got to eat a plate.
You have to.
Exactly.
And you better
going to
finish
visit,
it.
going back to visit grandma and grandpa at the time too. Same thing,
You always have a plate.
Yeah, you're gonna have a plate. You're gonna have something to drink. You're gonna hang out
That's
for a
so
while.
cool,
You're
man.
gonna enjoy a conversation, and I think that's what's beautiful about New Mexico in general too.
Mhm.
Like even past just like our small communities that we're from, I think that's what brings Albuquerque in general and what makes it a beautiful place. Is it's a big town built on a lot of small town people.
Right.
You know, so and I think that's where that connection kind of.
I think it's one of the most diverse cities.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I haven't traveled like crazy, but it just seems like Albuquerque really is kind of like a melting pot.
Yeah,
You know, it's not like as established like as Austin or something like that, but it does have the same type of people.
It's
Like I met
that.
someone last night that could like speak Arabic like randomly,
Yeah.
like at
Yeah.
the Dirty Bourbon, and I was like, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like it just shows like there's so many different types of people.
Yeah. That come in and out.
Yeah, and everyone's just here, just trying to figure it out. And I think what's really cool, Joe, like what you've kind of brought to the table for this city is like opening up not only like your shop and everything to the whole city, but you've like just brought in a whole community and let people to promote themselves. You know what I mean? You allow people to promote themselves and be themselves.
You give up stage.
And I think that's so cool because not a lot of people have that opportunity to set up a booth, you know, offer to sell their art to someone. Like you give them that platform. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. Like going on that, I do try to give people that platform, and like I guess going back like just about my story, you know, like I attended UNM. I graduated with my business degree, and as I finished up with school, you know, I kind of realized that I don't know. I jumped into the whole like the mix, the trap of it. You know, like where I got like all the pressure, the societal pressure that you get from like your family, your friends, maybe even like like people around you, your colleagues, and so I'm finishing up with college. I'm getting a degree. I've been cutting hair at this point for 3 years with my license, but I've been cutting hair since middle school. You know, like it's been a passion I've had since before I was even like officially named a barber. And so I'm finishing up at this point in my life, and I feel all this pressure, and I decide to get this job, right, that I apply for on LinkedIn. And
Shout out LinkedIn.
Shout out LinkedIn, really. But it's crazy, right? So you're in the mix of it, and you're applying, you're going to places, you're going to spots, and like the job itself might have not have been the best for me based off the description, but the salary was right, you know. And so they call me, I go through the first round of interviews, and I did great. I nailed it. I was like, they call me back and they're like, hey, you got the job.
That's cool.
And in a heartbeat I accepted, right? Okay. Yeah, all I saw was money. And so I accept the job. They fly me out to Michigan for 2 weeks, which was beautiful. That was like my
I've never been.
I've never been there.
What part of the year did you go?
I went in October, so the fall time. But what's crazy is, so like fall here is nice, right? And you go to Michigan in fall,
Cold.
It's snowing. Yeah.
Wow.
It's, yeah, I remember wearing shorts here and then going to Michigan and it being like freezing. Yeah. It was
Freeze your little huevos off, dude.
it was crazy. You know, this NM boy was not used to that. But I remember telling people too, like, it's cold, and they're like, honey, you ain't seen nothing yet. Like, like it's about to get colder.
Yeah.
You know, like it's sub temps. But I go for 2 weeks and it ended up being, and see, this is where everything in life like happens for a reason. Like, I met a really cool person there that I've still am friends with to this day. Shout out Shane Portis from Detroit. Like,
how old were you at this time?
At this point in my life, I might have been 22, 23 years old.
Cool.
So like I was just finishing up with college, like getting out, but I go there, I do this training. It's great. I have a great time there. I make connections. I meet friends that I have still to this day. But I come back and I work at the branch here, and I lasted 8 months. I was with this company for 8 months of my life, and for the 8 months that I was there, like, I probably made the most amount of money I ever had before, you know, but I, like, the sunsets just weren't setting the same. Waking up in the morning just didn't feel the same way. Like, it was
like too complacent,
yeah,
too
it was
quick.
a little bit, too complacent, too quick. I got sucked into this kind of, like...
In the machine.
The machine, yeah, the ringer, like,
what point did you decide, like, this,
so,
like, I gotta do something else, this isn't my path?
Like I'm saying, so I think I got, like, 8-9 months into this first job and, like, was like, I hate my life. Like, I don't like this at all. And at that point, too, I had to take a step back from barbering, which I had been doing for, like I said, about 3 years now.
Yeah.
So I had a clientele. I had people that were following me. And I think for me, like, to answer your question, Josh, like, my pivotal moment was when my girlfriend and I, Cass, we went to Spain. And that was my first time, like, truly leaving the country, you know? Like, like, getting out of here. And we left for, like, 2+ weeks.
Was it an eye-opener?
I would say to anybody that has not left the country yet, you have to do it. Like, it'll change your life. It's definitely gonna change your life. Like, it'll change your perspective on everything that you think you know. But
That's so cool.
So we fly out there, and I remember getting there and getting past, like, the jet lag and the 9-hour, 10-hour flight, and just being there, and, like, just, I think my first initial reaction to it was, like, the people spoke a different language. You heard different sounds, different noises.
Right.
The food was different. The culture was different. The roads,
everything
was just different,
backwards.
right?
but it was kind of same in some ways too.
Yeah,
or was
well,
it completely?
Yeah.
People are people, man.
I thought I was gonna say, like, the beauty
individuals
in it was, like, it was so different. And I think that's where, like, I had this moment in my life. That was that pivotal moment where I realized, because it was a big decision, right? At that point, like, quit my job, pursue something I want to do, don't stick to what I'm supposed to do. And I remember walking by people on the street there in another country and being like, like...
that guy's hair's messed up.
Yeah, I was like, one.
Who cut his hair?
Who cut this guy's hair?
Stevie
yeah,
Wonder.
exactly. Stevie Wonder.
That's awesome.
I'm like, one. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, who did that?
Yeah,
but at the same time, I was like, who, like... as vivid as their life is, like... mine is as well, but also, like, I am a person on the street as they are to me.
Right.
Just crossing paths. And that's where I just, like, kind of realized that there's so many of us in this world, and, like, you got to chase what you love and, like, truly do what you want to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, because it's
And
just
that
going to
way
keep going.
It's just going to keep going.
You know,
it's just going to keep going. Like, we're all people, and and like you said, going back to that connection, like, after that 2-week trip, like, when I got there, I almost felt alienated,
Right.
Like, not the same. And then as we were leaving, I kind of found my way to connect with other people, even though we didn't speak the same language. We didn't eat the same food. We didn't, like...
You connected on a human level.
Exactly, and it's kind of beautiful that you can find that as well. So, but, yeah, I guess my pivotal moment was when I left, and then... So I came back, and I put my 2 weeks in the second I got back from that trip.
Did you go on that trip with the intention of, like, I want to find an answer or solution to, like, this thing I'm going through? Or did it kind of just put itself in front of you? Like when you went into that trip, was it just like, let's just get away and then it kind of happened? Or were you kind of, like, going there with a motive in a way?
That's a great question. Yeah, I didn't go with that intention, which is kind of
It just kind of happened?
I just knew I wasn't happy with where I was at in life, and I knew I needed to get away.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
'Cause that kind of stuff happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
When you stop looking is when the answer presents itself.
Yeah, it pops up like, what the heck?
It's weird, man. And I don't know. I mean, everyone knows on the pod I believe in God. And I think God's always just throwing you little hints, little breadcrumbs on where He wants you to go, and trying to give you this right path in life. And that's the thing, man, is like sometimes if you ignore those breadcrumbs, they can affect you, exponentially.
Yeah.
But if you have your eyes open and you have a good intent and good motive, blessings just present themselves.
Truly. Going back on that too, I also believe in God, and like big believer in that. And I truly think that I think that the signs are always there. You just got to look for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what God can provide for you. And maybe not control the things around you, but like provide you with the intuition to make those right choices.
Yeah.
And you also got to be humble enough to see the signs,
And just have good intentions
I like that.
in your day, in your interactions.
Mm.
If you don't have good intentions,
Yeah,
you're not gonna have good outcomes.
Yeah.
Well,
Like you can't expect a good outcome if you're always being a jerk.
That's where, like, whether you believe in God or not, like, there's that power of attraction, whereas you attract the energy that you put out.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna be negative all the time,
you have a negative outcome.
exactly.
Yeah.
If you're gonna try to be positive at least, or put that positivity out there, you're gonna get nothing but that back.
That's
And maybe
so
not
cool.
nothing but that back, but I truly believe in the power of, like, the energy you put out is the one you're gonna get
For
back
sure,
in
man.
return too. So
So
I
when
mean-
you came back, you put in your 2 weeks. Was it like a?
Was it like a right away thing?
Was it kind of scary? Like, this is what I'm doing,
Yeah.
or was it clear? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this full force.
Cass is like my right hand man, even though she's my right hand woman, you know. But like I remember,
Shout out to Cass. We
shout
love
out to
Cass.
We all love Cass. I love
Cass
you guys. Yeah, I
has
was like
Taking
she's-
care of us countless times,
Countless
especially
times.
on the mountain.
Yeah.
In times of
She
our
be
most
making them
times
good
of
tacos.
need.
Cass,
Times
Cass.
of need. We love you. That's all. We love you.
Protect
but-
us from crackheads.
But literally, like, she's been there for like a lot of my last like big decisions in life, and like on the flight back, I remember just being like, "Hey, I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm gonna make the jump. I'm
Right.
gonna quit my job. I'm gonna go for it." And as always, she was in. She was like, "Okay, if it makes you happy, let's do it. Like, I got your back. Like,
Yeah.
we're in it together." So
Yeah.
I got back, and it was an immediate thing. That same week I got back, I put my 2 weeks in. I wrote out actually 3 more weeks because they needed me to help like somebody out as I was transitioning out, and I left on a good rapport. They actually tried to offer me the raise I'd asked for prior to leaving as I left, you know. But at that point, I'd signed the lease, and I did it on purpose because I knew I had to commit.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Dang.
so I signed the lease at this spot, and that was Ito's. That's where Ito's came to be.
Is that the downtown spot?
The downtown location, yep. And so that's why I have the name Ito's. A lot of people don't understand where it came from, what it is, and I think that's truly why I picked the name, because it's kind of, again, going back on art, right, or the creativity side, like, it's one of those things that, like, until you know, do you know?
Right.
So Ito stands for East Downtown, the Ito district, and so that's the first district I opened up the shop in. That's where I signed the lease, and I just took the leap of faith.
Did you start solo?
No, so when I first started, there was one other barber that was in the shop with me, and what's kind of crazy is we had met at a shop prior to this shop, right? I worked at one other shop, Campus Barber
So you guys
Shop, right?
kind of had experiences together.
Yeah, so we had worked together, and we had found this space together, and then we kind of switched roles almost. The lease at this space kind of like came up, and at the time it wasn't a barbershop, but he was utilizing it as like his own creative personal space. There was also another artist in there at the time who would come in and he would paint. And this kind of goes into like where I was inspired on like kind of moving into the art pop-ups and the art battles, you know. But so at the time it was me and one other barber and then an artist.
Right.
And so we'd cut hair in there, and then another artist would paint. Like, he would come in and he'd do like oil on canvas, and he would paint while people would get haircuts, and people loved it.
Right.
Joe, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, what in the heck is that? Like, and it just organically happened.
That's so cool, man. And so for those of you guys that don't know, like Joe's barbershop, Ito's, like what he just explained, there's art just like how this podcast is, and it's kind of cool to see the similarities of like our setups and like our what we do is like art has always been like a pinnacle thing like in our lives, you know what I mean? Whether it's music and whatnot, but like we always appreciate art. That's something we always kind of have in common. And so it's cool when I go to your shop and I see it and it almost looks like my studio, you know what I mean? You just have all kinds of different art all the time and you're hanging out. It just sets a good atmosphere.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you.
And so I think that's really cool, and that's something that like I can you know, value with you and you know, is that art.
Thank you.
spectrum.
I think that's kind of like what ties us all together, you know, like we're all creative in our own way,
Right.
you know, like you guys obviously do the podcast, and being able to interact with other people the way that you do is also like a blessing in its own. But the same with like the artwork. I think it's like really what kind of sometimes draws people, if not connects people together.
Right.
Or if anything brings like that interest or that awe, you know, that initial state, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so I kind of like organically just had started having people come in as people were painting, and like as time went on, I realized that like I was like, okay, I have the clientele that's following me. I found the location that's in a cool location.
Really cool.
Like
Yeah,
really
that
cool
spot,
That spot was so dope.
I like your new spot too, though.
I love it too, and that's
but you know, you always have those like sentimental nostalgia.
And that was the home. That's where Ito's was born. That's
where all
where
the
it
best
began,
Halloween parties were.
Yeah, all of them. It was crazy. Like, and that's how I still found a way to host all of my friends somehow, some sort of way. So even at the shop, you know, like Halloween, like we do the art pop-ups, we do different things. Like, So it was really fun. But yeah, I was to say, I think that's just kind of how it came to come. Like I knew that I had all the things right there in front of me, and I had to put them together somehow.
Right.
And that's where like I went to business school. I attended UNM, got my business degree, and it's kind of crazy because I learned a lot at UNM and with Anderson, and like shout out to them because I did enjoy my time there.
Mm-hmm.
But what's kind of crazy is when you get out and you actually open up your own business, like there's like these little steps and things that they don't quite teach you how to do. You know, like applying for a city, like your permit, or applying for your tax.
Just
ID.
a lot of back end stuff.
Yeah, just back end, the easy
it's
stuff.
more just like, this is accounting. And
like
this is
the
how you do
tedious
this.
stuff.
Yeah, like the tedious stuff that kind of like you just don't know how to really work for. But I think the best lesson that I kind of learned with where I was at the time was just kind of, if you put your head to it, you can kind of make it happen, you know? And it's as easy as like Googling something, like looking it up, like trying to just figure it out, asking somebody,
Chat
like
GPT.
chatting, yeah.
Yeah, did I say that right?
GPT.
Yeah.
Chat
yeah.
LGBT. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, shout out to the LGBT community.
Yeah, for sure. But I've been seeing a lot of the Chat GPT lately, and it's been freaking me out.
What do you mean, like the?
Just how crazy, like.
Oh, like it's just like taking over.
You could ask it anything, and it like gives you these super accurate responses.
Write my paper.
You could tell it to like, hey, can you write a thesis on science from this person's perspective, Joe Rogan's perspective, and it'll spit it back out in like.
I had a client
10
today
minutes.
talking about that. Like he's going to school for it, but then he also was concerned that like maybe he might go to school and before he even finishes, like his job's already taken by
bot or
a bot.
AI.
AI, yeah. Like,
Dude, I was watching. Do you guys watch Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Or have you guys seen Star Wars?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, there's just robots everywhere, and they give you these automated responses. I'm like, that's literally Chat GPT, but just like in a robot form. Like the responses it gives you, it's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like,
dude, the deep.
Like if we just put that into a robot, like like robots exist basically.
Have you seen like the deep fakes?
Oh yeah.
Those are crazy too.
That's pretty crazy.
The deep fake voices.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like it sounds exactly like.
Did you guys hear about the heist that they've been doing, or they've been doing heists online?
I didn't.
Of like so, and I don't know if this has been happening a lot, but there was this story where someone called this old lady, this like over 50, whatever. And it was in her son's voice.
Oh,
and he said, "Mom, I'm in jail. I need you to send 50 grand to this account so I could get out. I'm stuck in jail." So she like did it on a whim, all scared. It was AI replicating her son's voice.
I have heard of that.
And she like called him back, and he's like, "Mom, what are you talking about? I'm in school." And she just like threw it 50 grand to whatever.
I heard they got Kanye's voice, they have Drake's voice.
They have Biden's, they have Trump's, they have Obama's, they have everyone's.
They got all the voices.
I can't wait till we should make like Trump do like an Against the Grain like an intro.
After
him and Biden
indicted, yeah, both of them. That'd be pretty crazy.
Against the Grain, it's so good. They got followers in Puerto Rico. Have you seen him say that?
Yeah.
Oh,
one day.
But yeah,
one day.
The ones that kill me are the ones of them playing like video games. It's like Trump, Biden, and.
Oh yeah, they're like talking crap to each other. Right. The Kanye ones are the most accurate ones, like the songs and stuff.
Oh, I know. Like Taylor Swift
why would
covers.
you ever make a song ever again?
Yeah, the T-Swizzle covers are pretty crazy.
Dude, we grew up in the craziest generation, literally.
Oh, yeah,
like
things are
we grew up our generation, like because we're the same age pretty much. Like PS1s.
Oh, I remember.
Like I've been seeing, I follow this page on Instagram that shows like 90s nostalgia,
yeah.
And it shows like the intro to the PS1.
What was your favorite game on the PS1?
Crash for sure.
Spider-Man, dude.
Spider-Man. Mine.
Crash was on PS1?
No, Spider-Man. PS1.
Oh yeah.
Mine might have been Spyro, if not Mortal Kombat, and then if not Need for Speed.
Need for
Speed was sick.
Need for Speed was
Need for
cool.
Speed was sick on the PS2.
Oh yeah. Was it Need for Speed Midnight?
You just spend like 30 minutes tricking out your car. You're not even gonna drive it. You're just like.
That was the funnest part. Yeah, the rim.
You get
that
like,
song, dude.
Yeah. And then you remember how like you could go to the settings and you could choose what songs you want to play. Yeah. I would just X out all the other ones and just keep that one on repeat.
Just keep it going.
Y'all ain't mine, 369. Damn, never talk to me one more time.
Get low.
Get low.
You know, I also like what is it, ATV versus MTV?
Oh yeah.
Is it for them PS2?
Yeah. ATG versus what?
ATG.
ATG versus
MTV
versus mobile.
No, yeah. BMX versus, or it was like the dirt bike and the four wheelers. That was a fun one. But yeah, we grew up in such a cool era because we got to experience that, and then now we're talking about like AI.
Literally.
Artificial
Like, you know,
intelligence.
we got to see the tail end of like the 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then now we're like we're hitting like what,
Dude,
2023.
We're getting old, man.
Pretty soon we're gonna be right.
We're at the end, dude. I'm just kidding. We're at the end.
I mean, it's hard to imagine
This is-
how much farther it could keep going, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you talk about, like, people back in the day, they were, like, against cars. They're like, cars are gonna kill everyone.
Cars are
You're
the
gonna
devil.
go so fast, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, like,
You go
unheard
over
of.
40, you're gonna turn into dust.
Yeah, you wanna fly? You're stupid. Who wants to fly? I
The
got
concept-
this Mustang.
The concept of flying to this day still blows my mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Flying is
Like,
crazy.
Imagine
flying
being
is
the
insane.
first, like
Like the
person
Wright brothers.
A million.
but no one
Right.
has the courage to.
She didn't make it.
Oh.
Okay. Sorry.
But like, you couldn't get
Comedy.
people to volunteer. So what you build, you have to back it up and like be willing to fly it
Like the
yourself.
Wright- yeah,
Really?
like hell.
You're
no.
like,
You think they were
Really?
drunk or like, faded?
no, they're probably super smart,
but
but
I
they
know.
probably were kind of crazy.
Like,
you have to
growing
have some.
up.
I feel like that time they definitely were drunk. Like
They
that's
had
all
to
they
have
could
been.
But
have
dude,
done.
all this
Yeah.
AI stuff, I think it's dumbing down the population. Like, if you could just have AI write every paper for you in college, what are you even learning?
Exactly.
Nothing.
The AI's passed the board. It's passed like certain exams.
Yeah,
it's
there's
passed-
nothing.
Oh, so you know, I will answer. So anything that has a personal touch to it, you know, meaning I think doctors will forever always be around, just because you need that humanistic or personal touch with the
Right.
doctor, right? Even my own profession and craft, like barbering,
Right.
like maybe one day a barber might be able to give you the same fade that I can.
Yeah.
But who's gonna talk to you about your therapy? Like, who's gonna provide you with the whole therapy
I know,
session?
Joe's my
for,
therapist,
man?
dude.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think anything with like maybe that humanistic personal
Yeah.
touch to it might kind of. prevent
I
you
don't
from
think
doing
it's
that.
gonna. I think it's gonna hit a wall, and we're gonna maybe get to a point where we maybe reject it, just because we crave that authenticity from actual human interaction. You know,
Yeah.
No, yeah.
like
Truly.
there's something about like imperfections and things that even make
Yeah.
them better. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like if
Yeah.
AI is doing everything perfect, you're just gonna like.
Like, why
The
you
way I
try?
think of it is like, have you guys ever played a Grand Theft Auto?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know, whenever you get all the cheats and everything, and
Mhm.
you just get bored of it after a while because you can do
'Cause you can
everything.
do anything
You're like,
you
what's the
want.
point? Like,
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
everything. But the funner part is like when you just start off with the Glock and you're like, let's make
Run
this
around.
money.
Yeah.
Let's make this money.
Go
You
shoot
start
a
seeing
go
red.
shoot a freaking like hooker.
Whoa! B-Rad just goes straight to the...
They have all the money. On the game.
They do have a lot of all the money.
They have
No,
all
you
the
know who has all the
money.
money is all of
They
the
made real money.
hillbillies.
The hillbillies do out in the.
You drop. That's when you drop off
Dude.
someone to the hillbillies.
They're all yeah.
But yeah, like that's what I'm just saying is like when things come too easy, you almost reject it. Like
Truly,
life
yeah.
isn't life without these like struggles and like these like imperfections.
Well, that's what makes you. That makes you you. You know, everyone goes through their own
yeah.
trials and
Mm-hmm.
Because if everything's
Yeah.
perfect, then what's the point?
exactly.
You know, mistakes, happy
Mistakes.
mistakes. Shout out
Yeah.
Bob Ross.
Failures.
Happy
Failures.
trees.
True.
Happy trees.
Happy
Happy
trees.
accidents.
Oh,
Happy accident.
That's what I meant to say.
Happy chumana.
But do you think you'll keep doing like the art fights down the road and stuff like that? I know you've like
Oh,
had a
yeah.
lot of events and stuff like
Yeah.
since you knew because you just moved to a new shop, right?
So yeah, fast forwarding my story, like opened up the spot downtown. I was there for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I moved from there to Nob Hill, relocated a year ago to last month,
Right.
and it was a beautiful year in Nob Hill. I enjoyed like my pocket, my neighborhood where I was at. And this year's been an amazing year. I've met like a lot of really cool people this year, specifically like my newest coworker Keanu.
Cool.
Shout out Keanu Ruiz.
Yeah, Keanu's a cool dude.
He's a real cool cat. He's my brother, dude. He kind of came into my life at this crazy time when like it was happening. It was right
Right.
before the holidays, you know, like, and he's been sticking by Ito's side ever since. But we were actually supposed to sit down and re-sign the lease, you know, this last month, and things kind of went south with my current landlords. The lease didn't work itself out the way that it should have, and kind of out of left field, I have to move, you know. So currently, like right now as we're speaking, it's the middle of the month, and I just signed the lease on a new space yesterday.
Nice.
Nice.
Wow.
Yesterday.
Are you kidding me, Joe?
No, serious, dude. Like it's off Mountain and 11th.
Cool.
So we're making the move. We got to be out of this place by the 1st, but into the other by next month. So
Nice.
it's beautiful. It's right It's right across the street from the Ponderia that's in town.
Yeah.
It's by Cocina Azul. It's right down the road from Slow Burn.
Oh yeah.
You guys are gonna love this space.
Nice.
Upstairs.
I can't wait.
Beautiful. Yeah.
That's what. I mean, it's crazy. It's probably stressful, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it's cool because whenever you move, like I'm just thinking of all the cool like housewarming.
No, yeah.
What is it like the slow? What do you call it?
The slow. Yeah, it's like your soft opening.
Yeah,
you know?
soft opening. That's what I was trying to
soft
say.
opening.
Like your little soft opening parties.
Yeah.
When you bring everyone in.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's just
dude,
like the
well,
best.
So that's the thing is like I met with these landlords and right away I have off the top like my top like, and for me it's like my first one is I have dogs. Like they're my dogs, like they're my babies. Like can they come with me every day?
I'm your dog.
I got my dog.
Of course, bro. Tell them.
I was like, I got my dogs, you know, and I'm like, can they come with me to work? And they're like, yeah, of course. And then I'm like, well, I throw these art pop-ups. Like, are you guys gonna be okay with me hanging art and having people come by and like doing these socials? And they're like, only if we can attend.
It's gonna
You
bring
know, like,
so much more people
dude.
around
So
to the whole community. It's
they
not
checked every single thing on that checklist. They were about it. So
cool.
it was beautiful.
Is it a decent space? You like it?
It's
Do you think you're gonna like?
it's a huge upgrade from where I'm at right now.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm going from a 600 square foot space to a 1,500 square foot
Holy
space.
hell!
Damn.
We
The
have our own,
podcast studio. You got
we
some room in
have
the
we have
back?
our own little
You got some
private,
room in the back.
we have our own little private balcony outside.
Nice.
We have a lot of creative space, so come through, come hang out. I would love to shoot a podcast there. I'd
Yeah,
love
that'd
to
be
create.
sweet.
That's truly like why when we signed the lease on this space, like Kiana and I talked about it, and we would love to make it a creative space for like further than just haircuts, past just the cuts, and that's literally our logo. Like it says Ito's Barbershop, and the most recent T on it says more than just a barbershop.
Cool.
And that's where, like,
Yeah.
going past that, like, I would love to have, because we have so many creative people that do come in and support, you know, and, like, so, we're hoping to have our next art pop-up probably June this
Nice.
summer.
Maybe we'll have a booth. Who knows?
Yeah, you should come pop up. It'd be beautiful. The last time we did, it was a huge
Do a
success.
revamp with all the merch and stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, going back to life is kind of crazy. Kind of just happens, but
Yeah.
I truly think this was a blessing in disguise.
I think so too.
I like how you don't limit yourself, Joe. Like
Yeah,
I like
never.
how you have that. Like,
Never.
we're not just this. We're so much more. You know.
No, yeah, always.
There's
always.
not in a box.
No, never. And I learned that from like a really good friend of mine too, dude, Frankie Armenta. You know, like,
Yeah.
On the
and
day.
that's on the day. And I have to shout out.
Shout out
Frankie,
episode
too, yeah.
something. We had him on
Star
the
boy.
pod.
Frankie was on
Hey,
there.
and
Star
Frankie,
man,
if you
Star
guys are
man.
watching this podcast,
Starman, my bad.
miles by day. I was kidding.
Miles by day.
Hey, but for those of you guys watching the podcast, Frankie, he's actually the one who made the poster, the
Yeah, he
flyer
did.
for this
No,
pod.
truly.
I reached out to him, and he made a cool little ATG Ito's
Oh, yeah,
collab.
He does all the graphic design for the shop. But
I think that's really cool.
going back to no boxes or limits, like that's literally like it says it on his shirt. Like there is no end goal or destination. You should never put a cap on yourself. Like you should always continue to grow with where you're at, right?
Yeah.
Like
In any way.
I'm coming up on my livelihood, my craft, my hustle now. I've been doing it for 8+ years with my license this year. Dude.
Damn, dude, congrats, bro.
They say it takes 10 years for you to become like a master of your craft, and you know what? I'm coming up on 2 more years of that, and I feel like I'm not even anywhere near mastering my craft. Like
Once you hit that 10, just keep moving.
Exactly. You just gotta keep building and keep
Move
growing. So
the line in the sand, dude.
yeah, exactly. So, but again, like going back to that, like I'm inspired by so many people that are around me, and just like those lessons that you learn, and I am surrounded by a lot of cool. Going back to like growing up from where I'm from, and like my grandfather had a huge part of my life, and he used to say like, "Tell me who your friends are, and I'll tell you who you are." You know, right?
That's true.
And it cuts deep, right? And as a kid, you're like, no, my friends aren't me. My friends are
I'm
idiots.
different than them.
Yeah,
but you always end up doing
but-
what your friends do. You
Yeah,
always
exactly.
sometimes get drawn into what they're doing.
Exactly.
You know?
So if you're trying to get into a certain type of something, surround yourself with those types of people.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So whatever it might be.
That's a
whatever
hard
in
thing
life.
to digest
yeah.
because you grow up in a small town like how we did, and you're limited to your friend groups too.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Sometimes your friend groups go down a certain
Wrong
path
path,
that doesn't
and you're
match
just
up
there,
with what
yeah.
you want in life,
Yeah.
and you have to be strong enough to like kind of separate yourself in somewhat or some way.
It's like
Yep.
that fork in the road, in a little bit.
Yeah,
Yep.
You know.
and it's hard because you know you're like we grew up like being loyal to the people that we grew up with, but if certain people have these like continual patterns and they keep dragging you into them, and then you like make that a part of your life.
Yeah.
It's just gonna keep dragging you down. Like you guys are gonna keep pulling each other down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm actually really thankful to have like the friend group that we have.
Same.
Like us, like
Same.
you two,
Yeah.
Danny,
Martin.
Laguna. Shout out Laguna.
Shout out Martin, my buddy Martin. Let's go. We went to Costa
Keeping
Rica
us
together.
alive.
Yeah, truly.
But yeah, like our little circle, we don't hang out all the time.
Tommy boy, Tootie.
Dude, yeah. Those menaces.
We don't hang out all the time.
Oh, and Brandon too. Brandon Velasquez.
Oh yeah, Brandon, what's up, bro?
And shout out to Brandon.
Brandon.
I was
dude, that's
talking to him
crazy.
before the pod. He's like, you know,
That's
Joe.
cool.
I'm like, yeah, that guy's cool.
I know Brandon too, dude. Going back to UNM SEP orientation.
Yeah,
We were roommates, dude. Right
that's
after,
crazy
like,
because you guys are both from up north, huh?
yeah, that's how we
North
connected.
End, dude.
Yeah, that's how we connected. That's what's crazy. So like, I'm sure it's like this with you guys, and like, what's super funny is one time I went camping, and I love camping with Danny's parents, right?
Yeah,
Shout out to Dan and Patricia.
Like, talk about
Shout out
hospitality.
to
Yeah.
Dan and Patricia. Patricia, you were an angel.
I thought you were gonna
She's
say
a
shout out
queen.
to Danny Pacheco. I was
No,
like,
no,
"That's-
no.
who's
Dan,
that?"
Dan and Patricia.
Oh yeah,
Daddy, we don't
those
know.
are those are Danny Boy's creators, bro. Like
Yeah.
I love them. They're the sweetest people ever. And like we went out with them one time, and Dan, Colonel Dan, right?
Colonel Dan.
He as we're camping,
Colonel Dan.
they're talking about people from up north, and we're listening, we're collecting wood, and they don't think I'm hearing them, but like Colonel Dan chimes in, he's like, "Hey son, you got to be careful. Those people from up north are tribal. They're real tribal." You know? And I like for a second like thought about it and almost wanted to get offended, but was like, you know what, he's not wrong. Like
Yeah.
it is very tribal,
It
you know,
is.
like
Yeah.
because like when I grew up and where I grew up, like
Yeah.
I grew up in the Valley, but then went to high school in Los Alamos, which was a crazy switch up, you know. But then there was also like surrounding schools like Powaque, there was Espanola, there was you had Santa Fe which was nearby as
Mhm.
well. You had like even further from there, you had like Mesa Vista,
Right.
you had Taos, you had all those little like, and it was tribal, very tribal.
Yeah, even though you're like the smallest
It's a
group,
small- yeah,
you guys
you're
are
like-
more. That's like how it is
You're all-
like Belen
yeah,
Las Lunas.
see, and that's where we connect.
We're like
It's
such a small community, but
but
like
it's
Belen
just
Las
divided.
Lunas like hate each
they're
other.
different, yeah. It's divided, and
Yeah.
yeah, and like it's just a whole.
Yo,
other,
shout out
like-
Los Town, what's up?
Yeah, shout out Los.
Beat us at the
everybody.
beat.
Step up.
What's the name of the street? Shout outs. What's the name of the street you grew up on?
Bunton.
Button.
Yeah, but I'm Los Chav
That's
gang.
Los Chav.
Yeah.
Los Chav.
Shout out Los
Communities,
Chav.
dude, and gangs. What about you? Sam?
communities.
Communities. boys.
Communities.
Real communities.
LSP.
Keep it real.
LSP.
But yeah, you know, like you just,
Yeah.
I don't know, you have more pride in like those little tiny little
Towns. and-
communities
yeah.
you grew up in and stuff.
It's beautiful.
But you learn so much, you know. That I use like my upbringing so much, even in work and stuff.
Mhm.
Like you said, just you don't realize how much like human interaction plays such a big part in what you do on a day-to-day
Oh, yeah,
basis.
Yeah, true.
You know, like just like you said, hospitality, making someone, being assertive, looking people in their eye, listening to
Yeah.
them when they talk, not just like waiting for your turn to speak.
No,
Like
yeah.
these are things that people actually appreciate.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
To
you could
this
do
day,
your job
yeah.
perfect, but if you're not a good person and you're
Exactly.
always pushing back and like, you know,
Yeah.
thinking
No,
that
yeah.
you're better than others, you're gonna hit that wall. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's like what makes businesses grow, and what makes, I think what's even gonna make this whole community grow, Albuquerque,
Uh-huh.
is that hospitality. That let's help each other.
What's up?
Yeah. Or I think from the small town too, it's that hard, like that work ethic, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
all of
yeah,
us
you're
have
right.
that,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
just like
I agree.
a little hiccup happens, and it's just like keep pushing. Especially like what you went through and when we talked about, like you kept pushing, you looking at options, and just kept going.
Yeah.
Head
yeah,
down.
It was a crazy time, but at the same time, like I think in life, right? Like it's all about peaks and valleys.
Mhm.
You have your highs and your
Yeah.
lows. And you can never change those.
Right.
Never. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just life. But what you can control is the way you react to those situations.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, something I admire about what you did, you were very present. You didn't get emotional very.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was like a good learning lesson just from like, an
No,
outside
yeah.
talking.
And I think why I took this path in life is like why I talked about it earlier is like, right, like I started with my first job out of college, like making X amount of money,
Mhm.
like a lot amount of money, but I still felt like I was poor in a way.
Mhm.
I wasn't like, I was getting robbed of my time. I wasn't spending like my creative abilities in the way that I wanted to.
Right.
And going back to like where I'm at now, like I literally knew going into it that it would be one of those things where I might not necessarily get paid financially, but I'm gonna get paid in those lessons in life.
Yeah.
And
yeah, what's the point of driving a nice Toyota if you're sad driving it to work?
Literally,
and sad driving
like, as I say, yeah,
what's
exactly.
the point?
There's no point. There's no point in it.
Like, that's the only reason you're doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, and that's going back to that, like...
Shout out Toyota, though. I got...
No, yeah. But I was like, Toyota would go 300,000 miles. I was like, 300,000 miles. I wish I could afford a Toyota. I have a Jeep, dude. I was like, I got a Jeep. I like Jeep, too.
That's
but,
good.
You got Lucy, too.
Yeah, I was like, we got a van.
But yeah, I know what you mean, man. And I honestly went through the same exact experience right out of college. It was actually at the end of my college career, like my last year and a half. I had an internship, like while I was finishing school, and it was just a straight up business job. Show up,
just show up
in a suit. You got your cubicle. You're in that cubicle for 9 hours. You go home, and it was just a nightmare, man. I could not stand it. But I am so blessed to have experienced that before I graduated, because I knew this is not what I want to do. And some people don't get to realize that until it's too late, you know? So it was cool for me to be like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm paying my dues until I finish school. But as soon as I'm done,
I'm out of here.
I'm going to use this to go somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, so like, this is just like kind of like some advice for like our audience of people listening. It doesn't matter if you're 50 years old and you're unhappy. It's not too late to change the trajectory you're on in life, you know? If you decide you want to do something and you've always wanted to do it, it's just because you have kids, just because you think you're already settled down, you could still do it. You know, it's not too late, because
it's never too late.
Yeah, people think like, oh, it's too late. I'm too young to go back to school, or I'm too old to go back to school. I can't do this, but it's not like, and even like us at a young age, we had to make those decisions, and it was hard for us, you know, because you're like, this is the right thing to do. This is what I've always been told to do. Get this business job. Show up every day. Like, this is why we went to school.
Yeah.
But I think that's a growing moment for people, you know, to just put their foot down.
Exactly. And, like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, those people around you telling you, like, hey, you should do this and why you should... They want what's best for you, you know? Which you should also realize...
Hey, shout out to Against the Grain. Love you guys. Woo. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, thank
Episode
you guys.
56.
It's been a wild one so far.
What's up, Shingon?
What's happening?
Nothing, you're just giving us some background noise and we just laugh.
Can you hear it? Oh shit, my bad.
Oh shit, that shit was funny.
Hey, gotta let it drain, dude.
Still going?
Huh?
Are we still going?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I thought you said thanks for coming.
No, we're just messing around. I'm gonna keep all that in. That was gold.
Oh yeah, that was a beard.
But one thing, just to kind of change it up, guys. Like, and this kind of goes into like our moments now. Like, we're focused on what we're doing in life, but we also balance it out with like having fun with friends and kind of letting loose sometimes. You know.
Oh yeah, truly.
Sometimes you gotta just let your guard down and just go out with your best friends and
be in for
listen
the night.
to music. Like, just go do like the past 3 times we've hung out. We've done like 3 totally different things.
Literally.
Like last time me and you hung out, we were like spent all night at like a free disco.
Yeah, we went to a free
disco. You still in the pod or no? Oh, you're gonna leave?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, let's pause. Should we pause it? We whipping it? Where you
No,
leaving?
you guys.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll pause real quick.
Give me like a 3, 2, 1.
There it is. That's it. You just gave yourself a countdown. We're back. Woo! We just had to. We just got rid of our co-host. Actually, he just got rid of himself. He just walked out mid podcast.
Okay. He was having. Some
we were actually joking about this last podcast. We were like, we haven't had a guest walk out on us before. Like, you know, like you see podcasts where people get in beefs. But he walked out on his own podcast. So shout out to Brandon. But me and Joe, the show goes on.
The show must go on.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, Josh.
Yeah, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, dude.
Like I said, man, this is honestly like a podcast episode that's like a year and a half, like in the making. Literally,
yeah. We talked about this happening years ago, right? Like,
yeah, like cause our, like we just said, we just mentioned our friend group, our circle. We've had everyone on but you. And we tried at the beginning, and it just didn't work out just because of scheduling differences. It's not a big deal. Yeah. But I knew I wanted you on.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
at least like before episode, 60 or something.
I knew
like
I
that.
wanted to be on. You know,
Yeah.
you guys are onto something beautiful, man, and it's the consistency that I admire. You know, and that's like with anything, you just got to continue to keep going, and with every episode, like yourself, like you grow.
Yeah, and you grow just by meeting other human beings and hanging out with them for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
People. When's the last time you sat with someone for more than an hour just at a table and talked about what's going on in your life? It's probably pretty rare. With your job, you do it a lot.
Very rare. I was just saying, with my job, I get to do that every single day, which is cool.
You just hear them out though, huh? And
yeah,
you just give your little input.
I sit there and I book haircuts for an hour, and for the whole hour, I just hear somebody all the way through. You know.
Yeah.
And sometimes they hear me. Like, I'm human too.
That's part of maturing though too. Is like being able to hear people and actually like give good input.
Oh yeah. Truly.
Dude, so many people I talk to and stuff. I feel like they're not listening. They just don't listen. They're like just waiting for like their time to talk, and and people notice that. Like I notice that. Like when I'm talking to someone and they're just like, their response is totally opposite of what I was just talking about. Like they just had that in reserve to speak. I'm just like, why are we even doing this?
No, yeah, truly, you're like, why am I here? And I think going back to that human connection, right? It's like, as much as we want to speak, we want to be heard.
Right. That's true. But you got to give what you want to receive.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like that give and take, and it is a very authentic thing to be able to sit there with somebody for over an hour and at a table. And like going back to that, like I think I'm blessed again times two. Like I meet up with my sisters twice a week.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to my siblings.
Yeah,
like,
I met one of them, I think.
Yeah,
I don't know which one, but you have really cool siblings.
All my siblings are badass, dude. Just like a quick, I want to shout all of them out real fast.
All right.
So I'm the oldest of 5.
Cool.
My parents had 5 of us. And then my second brother is Adrian, he's living with him and his lady Marissa out in Austin right now.
Cool.
Marissa's a beautiful soul too. She's very creative, also into the art scene. Adrian's a mechanical engineer though.
Nice.
He's living out there doing his thing with his lady, attended UNM, went out there, got his master's in robotics actually. So,
dang.
Yeah, so he's doing the big boy thing.
That's awesome.
And then so I have Esteban, he's next up in line, the third boy, they had 3 boys first. Which is absolutely insane.
How old is Esteban now?
Esteban now, his birthday was this last February, and I actually he is, let's see, I am 28. Adrian is 27, and Esteban is 26 right now, I believe. So we're all very close in age.
Nice.
Very, very
dang, so you guys were all in high school at one point together?
Oh yeah, we did high school and college together.
Dang, was that like a good experience, or were you guys don't look at me when we're at school type?
It was both. It was like I think.
But when you meet each other, you're like, that's my goal.
I think what we were going through, it was kind of one of those like, oh, I wish my sibling wasn't here. But then when you really needed them, they were there. It was one of those things. But then now we look back on it, it's like, man, those are the good old days.
Oh yeah,
we got to hang out because
all getting in the same vehicle, going to school.
Truly, and I appreciate that more now, even so, because my siblings live in different states. Adrian lives in Austin. Esteban's doing med school in Seattle right now.
Cool.
He's doing an MD PhD program.
Cool.
Crazy kid.
Were your parents kind of strict on you guys, growing up, with schooling and stuff? Or would you guys have that drive on your own?
No, my mom.
Your mom? My mom, she was the one that held you to a higher standard?
My beautiful mother, yeah. I would like to say both my parents, but it was definitely, and what's crazy is my dad is very, very smart. You know, he's also a mechanical engineer. Mm-hmm. He works for Lano, and he's always been a man I admire since I was a kid. Very, very smart, Right. But my mother, on the other hand, was the parent that kind of held us accountable in the sense of academia. She was the one who was you know what, education's the one thing nobody can ever take away from me.
Right.
And me being the oldest, she was definitely pretty strict on me. Mm-hmm. For instance, I remember coming home in high school, and at the time you could check your grades online,
Right.
And I'd show up on a Friday night, oh, it's the weekend. I'm gonna hang out. I'm gonna watch a movie. At the time, too, Movie Gallery and Blockbuster was the thing. Remember
Hastings, too?
Hastings, my mom
had the best dates at Hastings.
My mom was cool, man. She would hear the best dates at Hastings.
I love that, dude.
Yeah,
just go look at movie, and then even the back where they have all the little action figures.
They have everything.
You get to. It's almost like an art gallery, huh?
It truly is.
Looking at movies.
You can play the games. You can look at the movies. You can read the magazines, the books.
Yeah. So what happened? Your mom checked your portal? Or
yeah, she checked my. I rented a movie for the night. We had a pizza, and she checks my portal, and she's like, "You got a C- kid on your last exam." And I was like, "Mom, but I You know, like and she's like, I don't care. Give me the phone. Give me the movie. Like, dude, for the weekend. And then I remember there being times even where like I wasn't like I would go in and do the extra credit work because I knew she would do that.
Right.
And the teacher wouldn't update the portal, and my weekend was still screwed because I show up at home and
but
she'd
you're like,
be like,
but mom, on Monday it's gonna pop
no, yeah,
back.
exactly.
I remember that.
You're like,
you're
mom,
like,
but mom.
you're like, I just submitted all 5 assignments.
You know, but if it wasn't for her ass holding me accountable, like,
Yeah.
because I was a lazy student, man. I did enough to get by.
That's
you
how
know?
I was
like,
too.
Yeah,
I was like, what can I get away with?
Exactly. See, and that's where I feel like I am a little bit different than my brothers. Is like, maybe so they had that perspective, but they're just smarter than me in the sense that they just kind of breeze by in that way. And like,
Sometimes like creative minds are like that though. It's weird. Like there's like the more creative you are, sometimes
the harder it is for you to grasp.
because it's just like to do normal functions of life. You look at it differently.
Yeah.
Like you question it. I find myself more curious than anything. Like, well, why do we do it this way?
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that.
When it's easier to do it this way, you know.
Exactly, and I love that, you know. So, and I think that's what makes us all different.
Yeah.
And we have our own reasoning and our own way.
Right. That's cool that your parents pushed you.
Our parents, yeah, they both pushed us in their own ways. My dad taught me my work ethic, for sure. You know, like, always on my butt in that way. And just, like, my dad, I've always told people this is, there's a difference between, like, an asshole and a hard ass, you know? Mm-hmm. My dad's a hard ass. He's not an asshole, he's a hard ass.
Yeah.
Like, he's just as strict as they come.
Yeah, he's not going to be a jerk just to be a jerk.
Yeah,
there's a reason why.
Never. Yeah, there's a reason why behind it, for sure. And
my dad's kind of the same sometimes.
No, yeah, and that's just that generation, and that's why I mean we admire them, we love them, we look up to them, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I love my dad for that, you know. But both of our parents pushed us a lot, and they kept us. They steered us clear. They kept us out of trouble, and like my 2 sisters too. Even like Elena's a teacher now. Mm-hmm. And Anna's about to graduate, and like I even showed up tonight showing her, like I came from her event earlier.
Yeah, what was that event called?
It was called the Scribendi event, the Scribendi magazine with UNM. Also another shout out.
Yeah, if you guys go to UNM, check it out. Can they get that what you just showed me? Is that available?
You could pick up that magazine, but you could also subscribe, but you could also apply to be a part of the magazine.
That would be cool. So if you guys are artists or creative mind and want to express yourself in whatever way.
Yeah, and then in literature and in short films and like anything. Honestly, it's really cool.
That's
like,
so cool. She's kind of doing like what you're doing, just giving people a platform,
you know,
but in a different way.
In a different way, and like I remember she invited me to her first event, like shout out Anna, and I showed up not really knowing what to expect. Mm-hmm. But then when they hosted this event with this magazine with people that come up and read either their poems, their short stories, they show their films, like, I remember I remember thinking to myself, like, when in the heck and how did, like, my siblings become way cooler than me? Like, this is insane, you know? Like,
that's the thing, though. That's what you want, is you want your younger siblings to take what you did and, like, get the ball and carry it further, you know?
No, I'm proud of all of them, man. I mean, we're all doing our own paths in life, but we're also similar at the same sense.
And even then, that's cool that you guys are all still close, though you're far away.
Even though we're all, I mean, I have my sisters here in town, and we hang out once a week. We go to Tractor, we do trivia night at least. If not, we do dinner once a week. But my brothers, like I said, I grew up with them in high school. We lived together in college as roommates, and then we separated, and like, even then, I think we needed that space to be closer, you know? Because we check in now at least once a week, every other week, and like my siblings are my like that's my rock, dude, for sure.
That's cool, man.
It's really, really cool.
It's hard when you're the oldest too.
It is. It can be.
It's crazy because I was the oldest, but I was like the one who screwed up the most, and even still now as an adult, I'm still like do stuff, and they're like, dude, when are you gonna, you know? But I think like, by me doing that, it's made them better because they just look at me and they're like, okay, don't do that. Don't do that.
Truly.
Like, I'm so proud of my little brother and sister for
you're
not doing everything that I did, you know, but learning from.
I feel your little brother, he works for Male Wolf, right?
Luke, no, he works in LA. He's a graphic art designer, and he does like a lot of like graphic art out there.
That's cool.
So he works like in Hollywood Boulevard, so he does like a lot of the billboards and stuff.
Out of there. Wow.
Shout out to Luke. He's actually in Europe right now. He went by himself. He just took a trip by himself.
He was like, I'm going.
So he went on a soul searching trip. So Luke, hopefully you have a good trip.
Hopefully you have one of those changing your mind
Yeah.
type of trips, you know, like getting out there and just your
That's
whole
the thing,
perspective
man.
is just-
When you go by yourself, those places you really learn.
You do, yeah, you
and
really do.
You figure out what you want. So hopefully you're having a good time, Luke.
That's cool. That's cool.
And Hannah just moved to Cruces.
Wow, nice.
She's trying to get into nursing stuff out there.
That's cool, man.
So everyone's kind of
spread out and doing their own thing, but in their own way, you know,
Yeah.
their own beautiful way, and that's life, dude. Like, you gotta cherish the moments when you have your siblings by you, and then
right.
you also gotta try to find those ways to stay as connected as you can when they are afar. You know,
For
And
sure.
that goes for like past a sibling, it goes for a family member, a friend, like,
Yeah.
anyone, you know. So
It's important, man. It really is.
Mhm.
The people you surround yourself with, like your dad said, like you really choose wisely who you hang out with, who your friends
Oh,
are,
yeah.
because they're gonna reflect who you are.
Exactly.
And if anything, they're gonna make you better or worse.
Yep.
But then also that too, like you should take responsibility and you be a leader in your friend group, and you try and inspire the people around you. Like
Mhm.
don't just like rely on the people and your friends to like always lift you up. Like
Oh,
you
yeah.
be a rock in their life in some way or another.
Oh yeah.
You know,
truly.
you don't always have to be the one that's like depending on others.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it's like a push and pull type thing, you know.
Yep, it's a give and take. for
Yeah.
sure. Give and take, and that's life in general. You
Yeah.
know? And like I learned that with my job itself. Like,
Mhm.
time is very important to people, myself included. You know,
Right.
but it's one of those things where like sometimes I'm running 10 minutes behind. As long as I text somebody prior to let them know, like
Right.
it makes a big difference in their day.
For sure.
You know? Same with me. It goes back the same way. Like maybe you're running 10, 15 minutes back. Like as long as I have that heads up and I know.
Right.
Again, going back, I guess, to the next lesson, communication, right? Like, being able to communicate with somebody.
Some people can't.
Some people cannot. Some people cannot, and it's hard, you know, and that's where...
Some people just leave a pod, you know, not
Yeah.
even
Some
say
peop-
nothing. They just disappear.
Some people just leave the pod. What the heck, dude? I missed my boy already. It's okay, it's okay. No, but...
Maybe he'll be back.
Maybe.
Don't you think it was funny how like
I mean,
when
we
we were
should-
planning the podcast, I'm like, are you sure you can make this time?
I mean, truly, like...
But
and that's... I don't know. It's like one of those things where it's like... It's friends, right? Like, friends sometimes, dude, they drive you crazy. They put you through the ringer.
yeah.
And all you want to do is put them in a headlock.
Yeah.
And you love them at the end of the day. You
Brandon,
know,
we're gonna give you crap for this for
the rest of your life,
Yep,
man.
this is it.
This is it.
Wish
dude.
you were
This
here.
Yeah, wish
FOMO.
you were here. FOMO.
We're having fun in Rancho. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man.
But
No, but
kind of
shit.
to like end this chapter of the pod, like I kind of want to just extend a thank you for, you know, being a
course.
guest on the pod.
Thank
You know,
for fucking
giving
having
me tips,
dude.
like as
Yeah,
far as like
yeah.
starting your own business, being an entrepreneur. I've definitely taken like some advice from you, like on
Yeah.
marketing and just how
Thank
to
you, man.
put yourself out there, and build a brand. That's hard. It's harder
It's
than
hard.
you think. And
It's
and I
hard.
think the biggest thing is being authentic, being consistent, and showing up every day. You know.
Truly.
But the most important thing is being authentic.
Yeah.
Don't be a copy and paste type of person in life.
No, yeah.
You have there's some point or another where you have to just take a left when you're supposed to take a right and be your own person.
Truly.
You have to. And
You
even
have
that's
to.
like what, like, you know, that's even like what your parents want for you, or like what you want for your siblings is like,
Mhm.
you don't want them to be just like you, you
No,
know, you
no,
want them
never.
to go
Yeah.
on their own, you want them to branch out.
But hopefully they learned a lesson.
Yeah,
like
that's
you
the
were
thing.
saying. Yeah, along
Take
the
what
way.
you need, and then go on your own way, you know.
Exactly.
So
Um,
hopefully our audience can. I mean, I know we've went all over the place on this pod, but that's against the grain
no,
for you.
That's true. Yeah, we were
It's so
against the grain
funny, like
tonight.
when
It's
people
like,
ask me, like, "What's your podcast about? What do you guys even talk about? Like, what's the theme? What's the?"
like whatever.
And I've had to explain it so many times, but it's constantly changing, you know. Like I would say we're kind of like a comedy podcast because we're always messing around, but then you'll get little spurts of just like
Snippets of
advice and
inspiration,
life
advice,
experience. But more than anything, it's just giving people an opportunity to tell their story.
Literally.
Because I think
yeah.
everyone has a story worth telling.
Yeah.
And I think
yeah.
that's what this podcast is made for, is just to,
Yeah.
you know,
Really.
like you have Ito's Barbershop, but like who is behind Ito's Barbershop?
exactly.
Who is
Like,
Joe Abeyta?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
who are you as an individual? And I think like this podcast, in this episode, like now the world got an opportunity to see behind the scenes who you are
You
as a
saw-
person.
So me as a person is like I allow people around me to be their own person.
Mm-hmm.
That's truly what we saw tonight. Like everybody was comfortable. we were who we are.
Yeah.
Like, we all did our own thing. Like, I mean, all jokes aside, like, B-Ray did have to leave the podcast a little bit early, you know, like, we know why.
Right,
like, we're giving him a hard time, but, like, even at that, like, that's where we're so comfortable that he could have done that.
Yeah.
You know? So, that's just kind of what I thrive for. I thrive to let people come to me. Like, I do have that persona, maybe energy to where people want to open up. And, like, for the longest time, I thought it was a bad thing. It was a burden. But now I realize it's my gift, you know?
Right.
So, that's where, like, I just hope to come in and make that presence and allow people to be who they are as a person. And thank you, Josh, for allowing me to, like, be in your home.
Yeah.
And to record this podcast and be who I am as a person.
For
and
sure,
just
man.
truly, like, I mean, support and be there and, like, tag along. And, like, you've been there from step one of the journey, too, dude.
Yeah,
so
man.
It's cool. It's something beautiful. And same with me, with you, man. Like, I remember the first couple podcasts, like, you were saying, like, I was supposed to be on the first couple ones.
Yeah.
And, like...
It wasn't meant to be. It
just wasn't.
Now,
No,
like,
yeah,
look at how good of a night it's been, you know?
Yeah, as I say, it's been a blast. As I say, it's definitely been a blast. And this is the first of probably many.
Yeah. I can't wait to have one back with the boys.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Have a little group pod.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do one, like, a celebration for, like, Cinco de Mayo or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo. Let's go.
Cinco de ATG.
We don't want to shout out.
Yeah,
go
ahead,
man. I got a few people in the pod, but I would love to shout out some of my best friends, dude. Fucking
Donald Trump.
No, Justin.
It's just
Donald Trump.
Justin who?
Justin Martinez.
Oh, Justin Martinez?
Justin Martinez, yeah.
Wait.
A really good friend of mine. I don't know if you know Justin. I think
Did you go to Monzano?
No.
Okay.
He's from up north.
Okay. Shout out Justin.
Yeah, shout out Justin. I was like different Justin Martinez.
Because I know Justin Martinez. I was like, there's no way you know two wrestlers that I used to.
Dang.
You're like, Brandon. I'm like, how do you friends with all my.
I was like, there's no way there's two of them.
I know. So Justin Martinez.
Justin. Dude, I love Eric. Eric Rodriguez. He's been a boy since
Shout out Eric.
I remember, you know. Freaking dude, there are so many people in my life, just so many beautiful people, but these are just like the small few.
Yeah.
You know?
And
like,
you've even made a bunch of shout outs too.
No, like
whoever's watched the podcast to this
to
the end, you know who matters to you. And again, even shout out to Danny Laguna, like our little friend group that wasn't able to make it to this pod. You guys inspire us on a daily, you know?
Yeah, Danny boy. That's my brother right there. Laguna too, dude. Like, got to take a trip with that guy. My cousin Lucas.
Hell yeah.
I was to say Lucas is like a little brother to me. Like all the beautiful people that come in and support and just like are a part of my life and that like we just get to hang out with all the time. Like it's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
And I think that's New Mexico in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I said, it's definitely New Mexico in general. Shout out to my Norte fam.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of people from up north that I love. But also, like, so many people from Albuquerque, man.
Yeah,
like,
you gotta bring it back home, man. I'm so proud of where we grew up and where we came from. And even though we're not even, like, a big city or big, huge community yet, like, what Austin is today and what all these other big cities are, they all started in something similar to what we are now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be rooted somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Why not start now, you know?
I feel like Albuquerque, going back on that note, I've heard somebody say this before, and they talk about Portland 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and they say it wasn't the Portland it was 20 years ago, you know? But I think that Albuquerque right now in this current moment is where Portland used to be 20 years ago.
I'm kind of happy we're not mainstream.
Exactly.
I'm kind of happy we're like a little hidden pocket.
Exactly.
You know, it would kind of like water it down in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind that, you know.
No, yeah. I don't either.
You know, we got our little, like, we have one of the most breweries, like, out of any other state. Like, we could just go find our little spots, you know.
Truly.
There's so many breweries that we've been to that are, you wouldn't know about them, or you wouldn't find them unless you knew about them, you know.
Oh, yeah, truly.
And those are the best places to just go in and...
That's what's cool, yeah. Microbreweries are definitely...
And the music scene is blowing up. We've had a lot of musicians on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I just hope we keep thriving. I want to keep, as our community keeps growing, I want to keep giving, like, the people that are blowing up or popping off, like, a chance to tell their story.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to hear music or to see art, but, like, what's the story behind it? And it makes it so much better. Like, I know a lot of my favorite musicians or artists I've seen on podcasts, and it made me like them 10 times more.
Oh, yeah.
because I like realized what was behind it all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the origin stories are the best thing.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
how did they get there? Why are they the way they are? Like, that is just truly like curious to me.
It's like, yeah, and where we come from, and I mean that's the beauty. That's like what makes us all individual and our unique selves.
Yeah.
And I think at the same time that's what like where we find those connections.
Yeah.
You know, because going back to like that trip I took, like even though it was so foreign and alienated and distant, I found a lot of human like commonalities at the same time. So.
That's important, man.
I think that's kind of like what we do look for in life in a way, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what gets me going on my job. Like, that's where I thrive off of that. That's where I love that genuine human connection and interaction. And, again, like, sometimes you're there to be the rock and sometimes you're there to be the person that's held up. But, like, as long as you have that support system and you continue to be that back to those people.
Yeah, build that safety net.
Yeah, exactly, dude. That's that community for you, you know. That's what's beautiful about Albuquerque. There's a community here for sure. So,
is there any other shout outs, or can you mention the name of your shop again? Maybe the new location.
So name of the shop, Ito's Barber Shop. We are currently in Nob Hill. We will be moving at the 1st of May. New location is off of Mountain and 11. A beautiful area, so
check it out, guys, and follow him on Instagram because that's where he makes a lot of his announcements, right?
Thank you. Instagram's definitely all the announcements, so just all lowercase at Ito's Barbershop.
I'll put it in the description,
okay,
so if you guys are interested, I'll put it in the description.
Thank you. Follow me on there if you want to keep up with anything going on and like the business aspect of my life. But as far as this summer goes, I guess my intentions, my pace, like where I'm looking to go is just I want to make this move and then just kind of go into the summer being as active as possible.
Right. Stay busy
as I can. I'm coming out of the snowboarding and like little accident I had a couple weeks ago. But I'm finally feeling a lot better, you know, and I'm moving around.
Been there,
now.
man.
I know exactly. That's where we connect to. You've been there.
Gotta just be patient.
Back. Yeah, exactly.
You gotta just be patient.
Exactly. I've been giving it some time, and like again, time heals all, you know. Yeah. And that's my pace and intention for the summer is like I can finally move again, and that's kind of like where I'm going with the direction of it. Health. I think put a promotion on that. I want to put a promotion on friends and family this summer, and just being present again. Like truly just being there, being present, and realizing that like even if things aren't entirely going my way at the moment, the way that I see them, that they are a lesson. You know, so.
That's cool, man. Whether you realize it in that moment or a couple years behind.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
everything happens.
Take it all in. Yeah, everything does.
That's awesome, man. I'm happy to have you on the pod, man. I love you.
Josh.
You're my brother.
You too, bro. You're my brother as well.
Until next time, man. We'll be back. Love you guys. Against the grain. Subscribe. I love you.